Welcome everyone to this mid-August 2022 rendition of the Ecosystem Working Group All Hands. I'm Alan Ransel, the team lead for the Filecoin Green team. So I'm going to be walking us through first our intro slides and then some awesome spotlights and deep dives. Let's get started here. Yeah, welcome everyone. So the agenda, first, we're going to spend a few minutes walking through the Ecosystem Working Group. Then we're going to move on to spotlights. So those are 1-minute presentations or quick overviews on really awesome things that the ecosystem is doing. Then we're going to do some deep dives. Those are going to be about 5 to 7 minutes each, about going sort of deeper into some of the really neat projects that the ecosystem is working on. Then we're going to have a few minutes of question and answer at the end. So please hang around for that and save your questions. So the ecosystem team, what's our mission? We're aiming to see the long-term growth of the decentralized web by cultivating a wide variety of stakeholders, aligning them with the success of IPFS, Filecoin, and libp2p, and treating them like gold. This is a huge effort to rebuild the entire internet based on content addressing. And that's our mission. And that's why we have so many awesome people working on different pieces of this and all pulling in the same direction. So, what are a few of the major pieces of this? Firstly, Filecoin. Filecoin, right, is a crypto-powered storage network. It is the storage network of Web3. I've started including this in a lot of other presentations I make about Filecoin Green. I generally don't italicize the, I italicize it with my voice, but it is the storage network of Web3. And if you want proof of this, you can just look at the size of Filecoin compared to IPFS. You can look at the size of Filecoin compared to the internet overall. Filecoin is getting close to something like 1% of all of the data stored in data centers throughout the world. It's getting close to something like 1/11th the size of AWS. It's a huge network, right? So no one else can really claim to be the data storage network of Web3, but Filecoin really can. And so IPFS, so if Filecoin is the data storage network of Web3, IPFS is the data content and platform delivery network of Web3. IPFS content addresses your data. That's sort of the key element. If people ask, what is Web3? Web3 is the web built on content addressing rather than location addressing. IPFS, if Filecoin is the AWS of Web3, IPFS is like the Akamai of Web3, right? So IPFS content addresses your data and gets it where it needs to be when it needs to be there, right? And so what that means is because it's all based on peers talking to peers, it makes the web work in this peer-to-peer way where you don't have a need for as many central actors, right? And we can get into content addressing with CIDs, but maybe if we want to do that in more detail, we should do that later. Then what is libp2p? libp2p is the networking library of Web3, right? So we have data storage, we have content delivery. We need a set of tools that allow us to actually rebuild all of the applications that we know and love, and many non-skeuomorphic, exciting new applications actually using this type of networking, right? So it's a modular network stack for peer-to-peer protocols. And so looking at, that's sort of a broad overview of some of the tech stack that we all work on or work with or touch in some way is adjacent to what we do. What is the actual ecosystem team? What is it composed of? So this working group has more than 6 organizations really dedicated to growing Filecoin IPFS and libp2p and the ecosystems that come with them. Right, so there's Outer Core, there is the Filecoin Foundation, there's NFT.storage, Protocol Labs, Filecoin Green, Starboard. All these organizations are really working to build out that ecosystem that's connected to that software stack that we just talked about, and really sort of make this a thriving, vibrant place to do work and place to really build a peer-to-peer internet genuinely that can ultimately become just the web, as Web 2 is eaten by Web 3. So we have 80 plus full-time contributors, and there's a ton of orgs, right? I think another thing to emphasize is that these 6 organizations are the outer core of our ecosystem team, but the actual ecosystem working group has a ton of contributors that are contributing in all sorts of ways, either as full-time contributors or as part-time or working on projects that are part of the ecosystem, right? And so if you are interested in some slice of what we do and you want to know who to talk to about that slice, this is the slide to reference, right? So you can if you want to know more about comms, if you want to know more about investments, if you want to know more about storage provider growth, if you want to know about engineering, you can, this is the slide to look at and say, okay, what am I interested in? What do I want to know more about? And look at who should I talk to about that part of the ecosystem. So here's a strategy sandwich. So this is a sort of conceptual way to think about our strategy and what we're aiming to do. So on the bottom here, this basis is to grow and expand storage and retrieval providers, right? So we want data to be easy to store in Web3, and we want data that is stored to be easy to access in Web3. So that forms the basis of a lot of what we do. Then on top of that basis, you have these three different steps of the funding funnel, right? We want to engage developers. We want developers to be familiar with our tools. We want developers to use our tools. Those developers then will start working on projects. So we want to support those projects through things like accelerators and grants. And then when those projects are successful and become businesses, we want to help support those businesses, right? Then on the top here, all of that supports these ecosystem multipliers. So those are new use cases and ways of people using this entire technology stack to really deliver value. And as we increase those ecosystem multipliers, that's going to bring more people into what we're doing. There's a ton of different ways of gauging impact here, and impact at each of these different parts of that funding funnel. Sent out a ton of different grants. There are thousands of developers who have engaged with our tech stack through hackathons. We're accelerating a ton of companies, tens of companies through this whole tech stack. Here are some of those companies involved. There's a ton of teams in our ecosystem, right? The more you dig, the more you find. There's just so many people working on so many amazing, really cool things. And in conjunction with this, if you look at the sort of raw metrics of different parts of this ecosystem, everything is growing really fast, right? So storage capacity has grown to 16.8 exabytes, which is about 1%, like I said, of all of the cloud storage capacity in data centers throughout the world. I think it's higher. I think it might be higher now. But sort of any way you slice it, it's a huge amount of data that's stored on Filecoin. There's 139 petabytes of storage, 5.5 million deals, on Filecoin right now. These statistics just keep on getting higher. We have cross-chain bridges with all of these different ecosystems and blockchains that need to store data. Hence, you need a bridge because they should be able to store data on Filecoin easily. If we can also, I'm speeding up a bit because we definitely want to get to all of the spotlights and everything else in the agenda. A ton of people are storing NFTs on Filecoin. Filecoin is really where you should be storing NFTs if you want to content address those NFTs and therefore substantiate your ownership of those NFTs. If it's if it's not content addressed, it's not your NFT. There's a ton of metaverse data that is being stored on Filecoin. So you can check out Mona, OP Games, Metaverse AI, Block Bets, if you want to go into virtual worlds using data that is stored on Filecoin. There's the number of NFTs has increased by more than 10% from just a month ago, right? So this slide was just updated. There's almost 81 million NFTs stored, I think, on NFT.storage. A month ago, there were only 72 million. The numbers just keep on going up. It's pretty amazing. Filecoin is the place to store your video. Filecoin is the place to store your audio. A ton of different organizations are adopting that. It's also this is a great slide to look at some of the options for building tools that work like tools that people are familiar with already, right? It's hard to go and make your own deal with an individual Filecoin the storage provider unless you're sort of set up to do that. So if you want to store on Filecoin, but you want an easy interface to do it, you can go to Slate, you can go to Fleek, you can go to ChainSafe, you can go to Numbers Protocol, and they'll give you the sorts of user experiences that you're used to, right? Then it just keeps on going, right? There's so many use cases being built on this. Finance and bio, a ton of Web 2 data sets. This is what we in Filecoin Green spend a lot of time thinking about is things like climate data, putting those on Filecoin. There's a ton of capacity, and we can really use this to make that data available for applications that really need it. So that's the working group overview. Please, come back to these slides and dig into anything that piqued your interest there. So I think that's it.